She is the Union from St. John's. Right well I knows her name, and every night as I lie on my bed, I can hear those young widows complain.
I went into a couple music stores today down on Water Street and saw racks and racks and racks of music that I've never been exposed to.
From what I understand, they have a full range of music here. I mean, there's a ska band, I've heard about thrash bands.
I think ultimately our goal in Newfoundland is to make sure that Canadians and the international scene recognize the talent here.
With your pickles and beaties and batons and all, and they're sure to drive out in the spring, that's the time. Here's to you, love. Welcome to Newfoundland.
We've invited the top people within the industry in Canada to come down this weekend to share in their knowledge and experience of music. So let's get out there and truly make this conference reflect the theme, which is bridging the gulf.
There's just so much talent in Newfoundland. There's a tremendous amount of musical talent and musical creativity. And what was lacking was the business aspect of getting that music out to a much wider audience.
Nobody watches and nobody cares as another falls through the cracks. These are the eyes of the lost and lonely. These are the eyes of the lost and found. These are the eyes of the sad and hungry. These are the eyes that stare to the ground.
I'd like to register. My name is Richard Flohill, and surviving the weather. Am I good enough to be in this business as a performer? Because it is the most competitive, difficult, awkward, bloody-minded rat race that one could conceive.
Why don't you hitch my pony? We'll saddle up, we'll my black mare. You're gonna find me riding, mama, in this world somewhere.
Something terrible happens if you don't promote. Nothing.
Nobody knows, nobody says, nobody tries to realize. When you're thinking of a solution, there's other ways.
Mean Street, in your face.
We're a rock and roll band, and rock and roll is supposed to be in your face, so.
Did you grow up here?
Yes, I did. Yep.
You want to stay here?
I'd like to, as long as the industry provides it.
We'll do one cover song for you. This is one by Pearl Jam, the band that I really love.
To tackle doing Eddie Vedder's voice.
I love his voice. He got a type of music you can get into, which is a lot of the newer stuff that we're writing is like that. Nothing has a certain structure to it. It's just feeling the music that you're singing. It's great. There's nothing better than actually singing something and doing something and just after going, wow, that was better than drinking all night.
Like our fathers before, we stand here on the shore,
knowing we will always have a place to call our own, and our hearts they are as one, will never be undone. We are the sons of Newfoundland, it's here that we belong.
The most important thing about the band is that a lot like Rankin Family, they appeal to a wide audience. However, they appeal to a younger audience as well as an older audience.
In the mid-1960s, the news rang out clear. Pack your bags and your nets, you must get out of here. Take your picks and your shovels, your rakes and your hoes. The government says you must pack up and go.
What exactly happened here in Newfoundland in the 60s?
Well, after having joined Confederation, joined Canada in 1949, the government at the time started getting underway of servicing the people of Newfoundland with the promises that they had made in order to have Confederation come through. And I think they found it quite difficult servicing people on isolated islands. I mean, you're looking at probably in Placentia Bay alone 30 or 40 different communities that are totally isolated. Joey Smallwood was the premier of the day, and he devised a plan called centralization, resettlement, and people were forced physically, if not physically, but just due to the circumstances, like you have to move in. They were offered money to move their houses, pick up everything they had. In fact, they've literally moved houses. They towed their houses with their trap skiffs across this Placentia Bay to the bigger centres like Placentia and Arnold's Cove, and this happened all over Newfoundland.
Good evening. Tonight in the news, emotions are running high in Newfoundland following a drastic announcement from Federal Fisheries Minister John Crosbie this evening.
In an effort to restore the nearly depleted stocks, Crosbie has shut down the province's northern cod fishery for 2 years, beginning midnight tonight.
Memory Waltz was written many years before the concept of the video came up. Some things have happened here in Newfoundland over the last 6-8 months that have really shaken the place.
Years ago, and I trapped several years, so many years, and I haven't dried up, say, 80 quintals, 90 or 40 quintals. All big fish. You'd have to get a pew, a gaff, pew in. That big, your head doesn't look big as that. But there's none of that around. I get caught. All caught. I was born in 1920 here. There's all sailboats. Very few, there was a few engines when I was on the go first, but it's mostly all sailboats. Whaleboats, you call them. You used to sail in and out, you know, perhaps a couple of 100, 150. And it was all hand line. And the cod traps came on the bean in, I think it was 1921.
If you went to any house here, there's not one person, there's no house here that the people are not affected by the fishery. And in every community along the coast, you'll find that. And once they gain control of that and they're able to look after the fish stocks and control them and manage them, I think that the old ways will probably have to replace the modern technologies, but people will be able to survive. Hopefully.
Lost in frustration.
My name is Loyola O'Brien, and I'm your captain. Steering the boat inside, and there's my first mate, Wayne Maloney.
Maybe the Newfoundland music community is so close knit is because we only really have each other to rely on. We don't have the same kind of industry that's on the mainland.
Yeah, it's not as dog eat dog.
Yeah. If one group wants something to happen, usually
it's in
a
everyone's
number of
best
groups had to
interest.
be involved just to get some notice down here. Just the fact that this Music Industry Association just got off the ground in the last year or so, shows that there's a lot happening down here, and people from the mainland are taking notice of all the acts up there. We've got the Thomas Trio.
But tonight you'll be in my arms, not in my dreams again.
We got Figgy Duff.
A phantom ship adrift without a port of call. Come to watch you fall apart between the devil and the deep blue sea.
It seems to me that there's some kind of connection with the music that is now your music, Pressure Drop, so popular here. Something about an island mentality. Is that true?
Definitely. When you got the water all around you and you've got those sort of boundaries and you've got strong culture, the people, strong history, and you've had your affairs looked after by a power somewhere elsewhere, like London. We were a British colony for a long time, and I guess now it's transferred to Ottawa now that we're part of Canada. But it's that type of thing that makes culture so strong in Ireland, Australia, England, Newfoundland, Jamaica.
There's always been a direct link with Jamaica too, because years ago we used to trade fish for rum, and that's where Newfie Screech comes from.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a gentleman here, Matt, who would like to become an honorary member of Trapper John's Museum and Pub.
I would.
And an honorary Newfoundlander.
I would.
He would. Matt, there are 3 steps here. The first is you must stand up straight.
I can do that.
And you must consume 1 ounce of dark rum, being a good old Newfie Screech, in 1 chug with no chaser. Now, Matt, it's Trapper John IV. It's a pleasure and honor to induct you in as well over the 13,000 member here at the pub. We are staying here on George Street in Newfoundland. Be enjoyable, and a trip back home. Be safe.
Coming up on The New Music, Neil Young shifts gears and the alternative scene in St. John's, Newfoundland.
We've always been kind of the odd, the sore thumb in the Canadian landscape. We were the last province to join. There's a film out now called A Secret Nation that suggests that the referendum vote that actually brought us into Confederation in 1949 was in fact a fixed vote, and that we are still in effect more probably an independent country, a secret nation.
Our fathers were both in the National Convention.
Makes us almost twins. Confederation babies.
Ever wonder whose hand is on the wheel? Ever wonder who negotiates these deals? Ever ask yourself why? Ever ask yourself?
We do live in a country that goes right across the country from Victoria to Halifax. So, I mean, in a sense, we are overlooked, and we came in late, and we have always been a have-not province as long as we've been a Canadian province, and a bit of a joke. So I guess that why wouldn't our music be overlooked?
Lay your head, some soldier said he's gonna lay it down. Oh, my pillow gonna lay it down. Oh, my pillow gonna lay it down. Oh, my pillow gonna lay it down. Oh, my pillow.
The French were constantly burning the town when the English weren't burning the town. Then the English would never help anybody who was here because they didn't want anybody to be here. So all they were interested in was the boat. So it could matter less to anybody that anybody stayed, and still people stayed.
In the middle of that raging inferno of the French burning it, then the English burning it, and the busted economy over and over again, music played a big role in keeping people's spirits up, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it did, eh? And they're all, it was even when you were, it's like even other Canadians, when they did folk songs, they always did Newfoundland folk songs, like Jack was every inch a sailor, songs like that we always go, oh no, I hate those songs. But now I sing them to Jesse. Jesse really likes them, so now I've found my love of them again. But music has always been really, really important. It's like the Codco show. It's like we do a comedy show, but we always have music. Like it's like you couldn't do, and all our stage shows we always had music, and so it's caught up, and it's not even like you think about, oh, you have to have music. It's just you do have to have music. Like you have to have a musician and some music and some songs, and because it's all part of the fabric of the the place.
Oh, General Taylor gained the day, walking along, John carry him along. Oh, General Taylor gained the day, carry him to his burying ground.
And me away, you stormy, walking along, John carry him along. And me away, you stormy, carry him to his burying ground.
To become commercial, do you ever wonder whether you're going to lose something that you've been able to keep valuable, that you've been able to keep true? Does that ever?
Yes, yeah. I find that there's a balance that has to be maintained there all the way, and you know, I think it's really important to maintain the traditional values, you know, and the culture, and make sure that, you know, things remain intact somewhat. But also you have to, you know, you're trying to sell and make a living at what you do, and it's not only the business aspect, you know, but it's, to me, it's important to get this music out to people. And it's not that I want, you know, the $20 that they have in their wallet for this CD. I want them to hear this music. You know, this is my life, this is my love, and, you know, I'm anxious for the more people that hear what we do.
And they're $20.
Yes, Newfoundland is such a distinct culture. There is even a dictionary of Newfoundland English. And even though I personally would never refer to a Newfoundlander by the N-word, surprisingly, it's defined here.
Newfoundlanders tend not to like other people calling them Newfies. It's derogatory. It's not exactly what we would. It's the goofy Newfie image.
I find it's a diminutive, and like all diminutives, I mean, is patronizing to a certain extent.
There seems to be a fair amount of controversy over the term Newfie. There was a letter sent out from the East Coast Music Awards recently that said, you know, what's the sunrise from the Newfie Suite? And there were some people who took great exception to it and actually plan on not attending the East Coast Music Awards as a result of that. I think that what those people need to do is to, if they feel really strongly about that much, is that they need to turn their attention to the people here in the province who put out all of those books and pamphlets every year or so that kind of popularize that rubber boot culture and stuff, you know. And they also have to realize that that expression comes from expatriate Newfoundlanders. People who live away from the province refer to themselves as Newfies. And for some odd reason, it's an endearing expression. So it's a kind of a funny can of worms. I don't like the expression myself, but it's never bothered me.
There is an alternative scene in Newfoundland. Hardcore experimental bands have made their mark here. Inspired by the likes of Husker Du and Sonic Youth, with an ear to more commercially popular bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, some St. John's musicians are headed down the alternative path. With or without places to play, or even the remote whiff of a record deal, something exciting is happening here. People are surprised that an alternative scene is really happening here. I mean, generally people associate this with the Celtic connection and you know, what Roger House does, maybe some more traditional stuff with blues, etc., but are not so aware of the alternative scene. Or are they?
I think one of the most early punk bands around originated here in what? The late 70s. The Slime.
Yeah.
76 at the 77 maybe.
Yeah, might have been that.
So there's been
I was pretty young when the Slime started.
There's been an alternative scene here for a long time.
Yeah.
So this is your territory?
Yes.
Alternative, hardcore, metal, thrash. Is that a big market here in Newfoundland?
Yes, it is. We have ranging from death metal to alternative music such as Dynasty Jr., the Sub Pop stuff, Buffalo Tom. I'm not too familiar with death metal, but I bring in the titles. St. John's has had a fun scene now for a long time, with early bands like Schizoid and Tough Justice and all that sort of stuff in the early 80s.
a lot of the stuff that people have been saying since the Seattle bands came out is that, you know, you can find this stuff in varying types and forms, but the same basic thing going on just about anywhere.
Well, Potbelly's all about being slow and heavy and sluggish gut rock is what we're all about. I'm Jeff. This is Doug.
Yeah, it's definitely slow and pretty grinding, I think. This is Tony over here.
I'm Tony. Hello.
What about venues for you here? Are there enough places to play? Are there a lot of places to play?
It's almost negative.
There's,
Well, no, I mean...
There always turns out to be one place to play, usually.
Yeah.
Like the people from the alternative scene will inhabit one bar. The bands will start playing there. It'll happen there for maybe the course of a couple of years. That place will close down, inevitably it happens. And then it just changes course, it goes somewhere else.
Sebastian Lipa, Matt Clark, and Mike Kane. Hardship Post, let's put your hands together, please, ladies and gentlemen.
what do you make of what you heard at the showcase?
It was fabulous. It was, I knew what was going to happen, but it was really nice to see industry people from Canada come down here and see it actually happen for themselves. It was great. I was very, very proud and happy that it happened this weekend here and the way that it did unfold and stuff. It was great.
Any surprises for you in terms of people that you found out about that you didn't know about?
There was one band, which is everybody's talking about this past weekend, is Hardship Post, which was amazing. It blew me away. I knew all the boys in the band, but I never saw them play as a unit, and it was absolutely incredible.
Lyrically, creatively, what are you writing about?
My past experiences that vary from munching on a little bit of sugar cane, or for maybe even biting the inside of my mouth and really creating a lot of blood. And
your iguana.
My iguana dying.
Tragic.
When it's so nice and warm down near the equator, what's he doing here anyway?
You know, people make the assumption that if you're in a band that you want to make it, that you want to go somewhere, you want to break out of Newfoundland. Say a record contract gets offered to you, and I mean the chances are that that could happen. Would you stay based in Newfoundland?
Definitely, I think. I think that it's completely feasible to stay in Newfoundland for us, and possibly just tour when we have to, for a few months of the year. Possibly go somewhere where there's a really amazing studio if we're going to do a big deal recording. But definitely, I'd want to stay here. I find that when I'm here, because I've traveled a fair bit, I feel really comfortable here. I write all the best, pretty all the music here while I'm away. It feels, it just doesn't feel the same.
None of us have any idea or any hope of getting out of here. Our hope is to stay here and to work and to be able to support ourselves. So to make records, hopefully.
We'd probably die in Toronto.
Why, Phil?
Why? Well, we wouldn't die physically, but I think the music would die. Because I think that this is it, right? This is what inspires us.
Hopefully someone will break out of here and put the spotlight on this place, because it's just amazing. The talent that's coming out. I can't believe it myself. I didn't know.
Still to come on the new music, Neil Young gets back to basics.
I seen the needle and the damage done. A little part